So you're the project lead. You and your team are tasked with a complex project that requires support from multi-departments in order to complete your objective. You have about 4 months worth of work, yet you find out from a colleague your deadline has been cut from 3 months to 2, and you know nothing about it. This is what happened at my workplace due to several communication errors. The purpose of this video is to share my experience in which I was a member of this project team, to identify the communication errors that occurred, and discuss ways they could have been prevented if the communication would have been more effective. The project consisted of implementing a new tracking point structure for our assembly process. Tracking points are used to identify line position, consumption of parts, productivity, and additionally, management uses them for reporting purposes. We have roughly 150 tracking points that get set when a vehicle starts and finishes our process. Our plant was migrating logistical systems, which required our previous 3-digit tracking point structure to be modified to a new 6-digit tracking point structure. The renaming part was simple. What took effort on my team's part was modifying all the subsystems that were used to the old 3-digit structure to accept and function using the new 6-digit structure. Although there was one project team established, support was still required because finance, engineering, quality, production, and logistics department all use tracking points for various purposes. The 3 main reasons why this deadline dilemma occurred was because 1, the role or scope of the project team was not properly communicated to other departments. 2, a rollout plan was not distributed to all parties involved. 3, meetings were not utilized. Therefore, there was no proper communication channel to share startup or status details concerning the project. In reference to my first point, since the scope of the project team was not properly communicated, this created confusion among all departments, mainly the logistics department. Since they utilized tracking points the most, they delegated tasks to members of their team that should have been given to our project team. This was the primary cause of the deadline change, because without us knowing and without them understanding the full scope of the project, they told management that the tracking point change would only require 2 months. This could have easily been mitigated if the scope was properly communicated. In reference to my second point, no rollout plan distributed caused management to second guess how long the project would essentially take. The longer the project's duration, the more money required. Therefore, reducing the overall time by a month was a no-brainer for management. However, this decision made between management and the logistics department, not with my project team, this wouldn't have been an issue if our team would have distributed a strategy proposing the project's duration with the overall scope understood by all parties involved. Then the decision should have been conveyed by management to all parties via a face-to-face interview. In reference to my third and last point, if a communication channel was established, this would have stopped all parallel double work performed by individuals not aligned with our project team. Departments would have known what to expect and at what stage of the project activities would have been executed. If meetings would have been set up properly, all parties would have been actively involved in supporting our team's efforts, and as a result, this would have increased productivity and possibly cut the project's duration instead of a miscommunication. In conclusion, it's really overwhelming when the time you have been allotted to complete a project is reduced without your knowledge when the amount of work already exceeds the initial deadline set. This communication error would have been mitigated if the scope of my tracking point project would have been distributed to all parties, a rollout strategy confirmed by management and was aligned with all parties involved, and lastly, a proper communication channel set up to effectively communicate details relative to the project.